Alright everyone, it's time for Occult Literature, video number 257, American Medicinal Flowers. This is an Alice Henkel work. It's only 29 pages, so this is a short field guide, but it's meant to be a hands-on guide to certain medicinal species, and this one ruminates mostly on those that are where the flowers and seeds and stuff are the part that you're drying or otherwise preparing. Raspberries for syrups, for cough and so forth. Datura. Link in the description to my edition of this work on Amazon. Second and third links are to my books blogs. I have several other dozen works that are herbal or medicinal available. Of course, disclaimer, I'm not telling you any of this is medically relevant today, even though in the third world and in homeopathy and in herbal medicine, sort of the spooky woo Wiccan circles, as far as I know, a lot of these things are still used. Elder, sumac to an extent. Again, raspberries, probably less poison hemlock, but it's still listed as potentially of use. Did you know, and this was actually quite common in then modern medicine, Datura stramonium, devil's apple, thorn apple, they used to actually make concoctions of that and smoke cigarettes made with it for asthma. It might have worked as far as calming bronchospasms for certain asthma symptoms. It may have worked. It was apparently widely prescribed. Not sure it's as good as using albuterol, but it seems to have functioned to some degree. People lived with asthma and managed to survive. They probably got extremely high off these cigarettes. That would have been quite funny, but it did work. It's an interesting text, and I like Alice Henkel's agricultural updates came from the U.S. Department of Agriculture. And so there's another component to these little works that's of interest to me, which is literally the history of U.S. agriculture. These were released to farmers. They were sent out as bulletins, some very short, some much longer, like the one I'm editing now, which is on more leaves and roots within use. And the idea was farmers clearing fields, clearing hedgerows and stuff, could take this material, sell it on the side for a little bit of money, and it would benefit the U.S. economy because it didn't need to be imported. That people could potentially, in some cases, grow these species commercially. Like chamomile is mentioned in a lot of herbals of the era. It's commercially grown. You've got huge fields of it all over the world. I've grown chamomile. It's also very easy to grow. It's relaxing. It's also happy tea, you know. It's for seasonal effective, for just, you know, if you want a cup of tea. Hey, it's tasty. Why not? So this is a very interesting work. It comes highly recommended if you're interested in herbal history. Less so, you wouldn't use this as an actual physic, as an actual herbal work of recipes or receipts in the era of actual healing, but it does give you a general description, and it's been illustrated by Rita Metzner, who I've worked with before, which is definitely to your benefit as a reader, potentially, because the illustrations will actually be good. Whereas mine, not so much. Rita Metzner does a very good job. I think this is the 5th or 6th time she's illustrated for me. She's more professional, going to take more time. You'll know what species it is. I did some herbal drawings for Fruits of Eden, and people said they were pretty good, but they're not as good. And I want, you know, if you can have it illustrated by someone who's clearly better, you just do that. I'll probably have her re-illustrate Fruits of Eden if I get around to editing it again and making the expanded next edition. So this is a highly recommended work. Again, link in the description to my edition of this work on Amazon. It is only 29 pages, so keep that in mind. This is a short herbal booklet. That being said, it contains some of these species that are common in North America, their use at the time, and the fact that it is a U.S. Department of Agriculture bulletin makes it, in my opinion, more interesting. And it is potentially of value. All of these species are still there wild today. That is their medicinal use, briefly described here, along with their habitat and description and so forth, how to actually dry the material. I think that it's fascinating. That's about all. Peace out.